This is TWiT.
One of the things that I have been hearing a lot about, because we've got the U1 chip in the iPhones, people are getting very into, nerds at least, are getting very into talking about what the U1 chip can provide for the future. And something that folks are talking a lot about is AR, with a device that can sort of track between 2 points, a precise location within like centimeters. You have a much better AR experience for tracking, but also just for manipulation of the space, for adding things, for dropping things and anchoring them in. And so we could maybe see Apple's AR glasses in 2020.
Interesting. Yeah, I keep
exactly like that.
I hope so.
I hope so. With Apple logos that, and maybe the leaves on the top of those two logos, they change color depending on your mood. Like you can give them like angry eyebrows.
Yeah.
I love that mood.
I'm fascinated by this story. I would have bet anything that we're not going to see Apple AR glasses the next couple of years. And it's not because I have inside information or because I'm such an incredible industry analyst that I can see. It's simply that I have an idea. I have an impression of what someone who is in the know would refer to as AR glasses, and I just don't know how Apple could make them. Given I keep trying to one of my regular search things is display technology and just looking for academic papers on how to do it in such a way that you won't have the Google Glass effect of, oh my God, I can't. I like having all this stuff available just by walking around and not using my phone, but I don't like the fact that everybody's like passing me with like 8 feet on each side because I look like such a dork, or like a surveillance wonk.
Watching me right now. Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I think that if Apple does ship something like that next year, either A, it'll be this wonderful display technology that'll come as a complete surprise, at least to me, or they will come up with a way of doing AR that is not linear. It's not what we're expecting it to happen, but it will be something that is eminently useful, because Apple doesn't. They're happy to be 2 or 3 years late to the ball if they think that we don't have a good idea for this, or we don't have a way that completely works. Like they're not going to do face unlock until they can ship a face unlock that doesn't work if the person's eyes are closed. They don't want to do that in a later update. Whereas other companies, not so much. So I'm fascinated by this. Now that we're seeing so many really interesting reports from people who have great track records, I'm glad to have a guess that was completely wrong, and it's nice to have an idea that in 2020 we know we're going to see Microsoft's idea of dual screen folding computers, but we've seen the demo. We've had people who had the demos of it. We know, but next we don't. That's the present we got to open on Christmas Eve, but there's still this other package under the tree from Apple that we're not going to be allowed to open, not just Christmas Day, but until we get back from Grandma's house. So we have to go to Mass. We have to go to Grandma's house for dinner. And so we know we've got this one big present waiting for us when we finally get home. Yeah, so that's going to be fun.
What I still can't figure out is how they're able to keep that present closed without any tape showing anywhere. It's just a perfectly wrapped present with no creases. Yeah.
Well designed.
There's micro tack on the back of the.
Is that what it is?
Do you ever wonder if that was one of the things that went into the design of Apple Park? The idea of, we want to have this completely secure and enclosed place where if we are going to test out a new phone or a new wearable or a new personal Zeppelin or whatever, we can do it without, and say, by the way, we're testing, knowing that anybody who sees somebody using this, whether they're out on a jogging path, whether they're biking, whether they're just at a desk somewhere, they know that this person knows how badly they're going to be fired and sued, and then they have their faces painted purple if this gets out, because it's the time when you know that something is finally taking the wraps off of is when they have no choice. They now absolutely have to let in people that they don't completely trust, or they're going to have to let people ride the subway with this, or because they can't have the first release marred by the way, it's okay so long as you're not in any sort of a moving vehicle. It's and any gas fumes will render this completely useless. So it's great to think about that.
So my problem with the glasses isn't so much technical. Like, I think they'll start off very much slaved to an iPhone the way the Apple Watch did, and they'll have limited utility. But I think what Apple is struggling with too, and which might be a bigger indicator of when they ship it or not, is that killer feature. Because right now it's maps. It's like walking around and seeing which way to go, which is cool, but it's not really, oh, I have to rush out and buy this cool. And there seems to me like there has to be, like, the watch arguably had too many features at launch.
You mean like my heart rate, sending it to people?
Well, yeah, but they eventually settled on things that were really compelling. And I think they sort of need to shape that. Like, I try to figure out backwards, like, this is what the demo on stage at the keynote is going to be. And then what does it take to get to that? And I think until they have those things they can put up on the slide, it doesn't matter how mature the technology is. It has to be that complete package.
Lori,
that's very smart.
You were about to say something?
Well, what if Apple is taking a page from Google and they're just saying, like, you know what, we're going to just present this to you half-baked and see what you think. And then you can decide what you think is worth keeping. And in the next iteration, we'll make it better. Like, you have to give some credit to Google for just going for it. And then eventually it gets better. So maybe Apple is like, it's, if we did this exactly right, it'd be 3 years before we brought AR to the public, and we might lose out on it. So let's just put it out now. And if it's half baked and it doesn't work the way people expect it to, we'll know, because we'll have 1 million people using, AR glasses telling us what we should or shouldn't be doing. And then we'll have all that, market research out in the public. Maybe they're just shifting gears now.
And the interesting thing for both with Apple and Google with this is that we're already seeing their AR software. They have the ability to create the software because they can just have it running on a phone, where you're just obligated sometimes to look down on your phone or hold it up and just get a look at some of the buildings for the software to be able to give you that big stupid arrow that's saying, this way, idiot. I can't believe we have to tell you which way to turn it, which way is right in the set of directions. And so we're seeing exactly what they want to do. All we're not seeing is the hardware that until now they weren't able to make. And one of the nicest things about most interesting announcements that Google made at their event last week was their answer to AirPods, the Pixel Buds, which is and you're expecting, okay, well, now there's a crowded market of truly wireless earbuds. Of course, if Microsoft has to have their own set, then of course Apple has to have their own set, and Amazon has to have their own set. But they're really promoting it not just as, okay, yada yada yada, it's noise canceling and lasts a long time, blah blah blah. What they really want to say is that this allows you to use the Google Assistant completely untethered from any phone. You can even be, they say, 3 rooms away from your phone, and you can still make appointments, get access to information, get answers to things. And the fact that it's that tiny that people won't really see it unless they're sort of looking for it, that makes this an even more interesting and compelling product to me. So I would even be as happy if Apple simply said, we've got this new version of the AirPods that is, we got rid of the lollipop sticking out of your ear, but we're pretty much making sure that we can put Shlomo anywhere you want to have access to it. And if you're running, if you're just washing the dishes, I think audio augmented reality is really a much bigger potential than anything else that I've seen so far.
I agree with that. So whether it be the Pixel Buds or Apple or Amazon's Echo Buds, though the one augmented reality situation there with audio is being able to wear the Echo Buds and go into a Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon, and say, what aisle are the bananas on? And then it says aisle 3, and then you can go to aisle 3 and find it. I think that's an incredible feature, and to be able to tie that in,
and in Homer Simpson's voice.
Yes, exactly. If I want Samuel L. Jackson shouting at me about where the bananas are, then that works.
The bananas are down the aisle on the left.
The whiskey is in aisle 5. Don't buy that hippie granola crap.
That's good.
Wow, Lori, you've got to do an impression now.
I got nothing. I'm sorry.
You can do the Lori. Lori Gill's Amazon Echo voice.
We don't got no bananas.
We don't got no bananas. Are you kidding me?
The truck was stranded. The bananas couldn't be found.